All right, welcome in. It is Breeders' Cup time 2020. 2020 has been a lot of things, but to horse racing, it's been maybe one of the most consistent things, certainly here at WagerTalk.com. I know I speak for Marco D'Angelo and, of course, Sig joining us here, the Pony Pundits. I'm Joe Ranieri. When it comes to horse racing, Marco, it was, I guess, the thing that many of us as handicappers and as bettors we knew was going to be there. As all the craziness in 2020, horse racing has been the one constant, has it not?
It has, and we had two tracks this year, Joe, that probably most people never heard of. I know one I had to look up, and that was Will Rogers Downs in Fauner Park. They brought us through the pandemic when there was nothing else running. Those two tracks were going, and I found myself daily betting those two tracks, and that got me through, the lean times of no action because, as us guys, we need action. Come on.
Yep.
Would go star crazy.
Yep. And Sig, it was, in a way, it kind of worked out because I know a lot of guys that never got into horse racing all of a sudden are now into horse racing, and with the extended season and the Belmont running first and the Kentucky and the Breeders, all of it being messed up, there's an awful lot of people that came into the marketplace that are going, wow, this horse racing thing is actually not too bad.
You're right, Joe. It was a great opportunity for people to be introduced to horse racing. They were looking for action. There were no professional sports going on. Horse racing was a great outlet, and it was available 7 days a week. And pretty much daytime, nighttime, you could always find a track to bet on. You could bet on Australia, Europe. Anytime you want to, you can bet horse racing around the world.
Yeah, it's guys, it's been a hell of a season. And now, of course, more money, I believe, Marco, coming on this weekend, starting, of course, on Friday here, guys, with the 2-year-old, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. We'll get to that here in a minute, but there is, give us in perspective, Marco, for those that might just be getting into horse racing or are interested in it, how much handle are we talking about in this particular meet as opposed to the Preakness, the Derby, the Belmont?
Well, all of those races, Joe, the big races, the Triple Crown, they have full cards those days, but it's all geared around the big race. It's right. The Kentucky Derby. It's the Belmont. It's the Preakness. When you get the Breeders' Cup, when you go Friday and Saturday, it's all of the championship races. We're going to have over 2-day period, basically 14 Super Bowls to put it in perspective, because these will be the championships for all of these different classes of races. Friday's going to feature all of the 2-year-old horses, which you want to watch these races because next year's Kentucky Derby winner will be coming out of most likely the Juvenile race. That's a great, measuring stick heading into their 3-year-old campaigns. And then we put a bow on the 3-year-old season for all of the horses that campaigned. And some of those better 3-year-old horses, they're going to step up and go with the older horses in the Breeders' Cup Classic, which is the granddaddy of them all. And that will be the final race on the card on Saturday. And Joe, we're not talking about small purses as far as the owners, what they're racing for. We've got some $4 million races on Saturday, and most of them are $1 million and up.
A lot of money here, guys, which means there's a lot of money to make. So why don't we dive into it? Do want to let you guys know, of course, if you head over to WagerTalk.com, Sig's got a great program up, a bettor's guide to the 2020 Breeders' Cup available for you guys right now on his page at WagerTalk.com. Sig, it's kind of a run-through, right, of the entire card of the day, and it's great for those that might not, I guess, dive in and read the daily racing forum every day. It's a pretty damn informative. It kind of helps people get their bearings when it comes to the Breeders' Cup.
I have to agree, Joe. Actually, Friday is probably the most difficult with the 2-year-olds coming in, especially from Europe and so forth. We don't get to see a lot of them race. So I went back, I watched replays, studied the tracks, studied the horses and how they responded to the different conditions, and basically gave everybody a full breakdown on those 2-year-olds. The 3-year-olds are a little bit easier. We have seen them for a couple of years now, 3-year-olds and up at least. More racing and a little bit easier to handicap, but the 2-year-olds are tough. A lot of information, a lot of great information to help you make the best wagers over the weekend.
And as you can see, guys, if you visit WagerTalk.com, Sig's page there, you can get the betting guide. Of course, Marco, not only, what a time of year for you, Marco. Good God. I mean, between the NFL, college football, and Marco, for those of you that don't know, diehard horse owner. I mean, he is part horse, is what I hear. At least that's what they say. Certainly eats like one at the buffet. But Marco listen, he loves his horses. It's his passion. And when you put those two together, we've got a pigskin and ponies opportunity for folks that might be tuning in here at Marco's page at Wager Talk. And Marco, pigskin and ponies, two of your favorite things, without a doubt. Throwing a buffet of crab legs, dude, and we've lost you. We've just lost you. But honestly, big weekend in football, big weekend in horse racing. Put the two together, Marco. $39 will get you basically the plays on both.
Yeah, you get all of my plays Saturday. I'm going to leave the Friday card to Mr. Sig. I might have one spot play or something on Friday, but I'm going to have some plays on the Saturday card. Those are the big races. I like the 3-year-old and up races. I will cover that. And, of course, my college football plays. And last week we went 4-2 with those college football plays, including a 5% game of the month, Joe. We had Auburn last week. They just demolished LSU, looking to have another big weekend. We got the weekend off, or the week off, to a good start. We cashed on Wednesday night. The MAC conference was back, and we had a winner there. So we're heading into Saturday with some house money. That's always fun to do.
So it's a good time. Let's make it a profitable weekend, guys. And let's start. Sig, I'll turn to you. The Friday Breeders' Cup Edition Juvenile 2-year-olds, 14 horses in this race. Break it down for us, my man. Talk to me. Is it as chalky as it looks, or like you mentioned, 2-year-olds kind of tough to break down? Not a lot of big names, a lot of big trainers. What do you think of this race coming on Friday there, the 10th race at Keeneland?
Joe, I think that this is probably going to be the race where you're going to see your biggest favorite of the weekend in Jackie's Warrior. The undefeated 2-year-olds won at 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs, and 8 furlongs so far in his career. He'll be going 8.5 in the preeminent event on Friday, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. It'll be the race that closes out the pick 6, the pick 5, the pick 4. I mean, he does look very strong. He's faced all challengers so far, but the distance going the extra half furlong may wear him out here a little bit. He's had a horse that's been running with him in Reinvestment Risk, a Chad Brown trainee, who's only 1 for 3 for his career, but Reinvestment Risk has run second both times to Jackie's Warrior. So we really have no idea how good he really is. He's my second choice in here. I like Essential Quality, of Brad Cox trainee. Only 2 races under his belt, both wins, including the Breeders' Futurity. Brad Cox has been hot in the Kentucky circuit this fall. You remember on Kentucky Derby Day, he had a number of winners on that card. And then the long shot I like in here is number 9, Sitting on Go, for trainer Dale Romans. Only a couple races under his belt in here, but at 12-1, and I think with the money Jackie's Warrior is going to take, he's going to float up here. I don't think we've seen his best race. He's been training really well. If you're looking for a long shot in this race, I think Sitting on Go might be the one.
All right, Marco, what do you think here? You mentioned you focused a lot on Saturday with the pigskin and ponies, but this is a very interesting race. Keeneland, big name jockeys, big name trainers, little chalky here in this race. How do you have it breaking down?
Well, Joe, Sig and I are on the same page as far as the numbers. We're just turning them around a little bit. Yeah, number 7, Jackie's Warrior, is the horse to beat, and this is a horse 4 for 4, and the running style is simple. Catch me if you can. I'm breaking out of the gate. I'm going to the lead, and I'm going to control the race. Now, the horse that I think is going to give him the biggest run for his money is number 5, Essential Quality. This is a horse 2 for 2. We haven't seen the best of this horse yet, where Jackie's Warrior has had 4 starts, a little more seasoned. This horse has a license to jump up. And what I like about Essential Quality is this horse, in his 2 starts, has demonstrated 2 different running styles. He has shown where he can sit just off the leader and then pounce at the top of the stretch for the win. And we saw him in his first race race off the pace, come from behind, and just swoop the field in the stretch. And really, I'd like to see him sit a little bit off the pace, let Jackie's Warrior go. We know that that horse is going to be on the front end, and hope somebody else goes with Jackie's Warrior and maybe tires him out just a bit. This is the horse I think that'll give you the price in the race if he pulls the upset. And then third, I agree with Sig's horse, reinvestment risk. This horse has been solid all year, running second twice to Jackie's Warrior. No shame there. And then we do agree my fourth horse is number 9. That is the horse that is going to be the price horse in the race. So I'm going to be keen, obviously, with Jackie's Warrior, but I'm going to have some tickets with Essential Quality on top as well. And we'll use them in exactas and trifectas with those numbers you see on the board right now.
All right, Sig, let me ask you, we do this every time with the Breeders' Cup. Some folks are maybe new to handicapping when it comes to horse races. Even guys that have been doing it forever. They look at jockeys, they look at trainer, they look at jockey-trainer, track combinations. Give us a couple of names here at Keeneland this weekend that you'll be looking at or people should be looking at.
Well, at Keeneland, well, basically across the country in general, for Breeders' Cup, Chad Brown is one of the most successful trainers. He seems to have his horses keyed up and ready to go right for Breeders' Cup time. He's been very successful. When it comes to Kentucky circuit, I said earlier, Brad Cox has been hot so far in the late summer and the fall here. And trainer Dale Romans is a Kentucky-based trainer who always seems to run big in these big events with horses that not everybody's talking about. Actually, that's Sit On and Go that Marco and I both agreed on as our long shot here in the Juvenile is a Dale Romans trainee, and he could surprise here.
This just in, I'm being told Bob Baffert failed a drug test. Like him personally failed a drug. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. We'll get to him and enough, of course, at the Classic. But let's head over to Saturday. And Marco, I'll start with you. The Distaff, the Breeders' Club Distaff. 10 horses in this race. Again, so a lot of guys like the chalk in here. Some think there might be a surprise or two in it. How are you looking at this race? How are you breaking it down? 10th race on Saturday, the Distaff.
Well, this race, for most people, or they're looking forward to it because it's going to be a 2-horse battle between Monami Girl, number 10, and number 5, Swiss Skydiver. Now, Swiss Skydiver is a horse that everybody knows from the 3-year-old circuit this year because she went and took on the boys in the Preakness and was able to pull off the win in that race, beating Authentic. And the Connections decided not to race her against the boys in the Breeders' Cup, stay with the girls, and it sets up the big showdown between her and Monami Girl. Now, Monami Girl is a horse that's 3 for 3 this year and has just been fantastic for the owners. 14 career starts, 12 wins, 2 seconds. She's never missed an exacta in her career. She missed all of 2019. And for them to bring her back after missing an entire season tells you this horse still has plenty in the tank, and they think she can do some big things. And they could have just bred her. You know, a lot of people would have said, hey, we're going to lose a whole year of racing with her. Let's go ahead and breed her. But they didn't do that. They brought her back. And as I said, she's 3 for 3 and getting better with each start. She is my top choice in this race. I'll go with Swiss Skydiver to finish second. And my long shot horse in here to hit the ticket is number 3, Dunbar Road. This is one of the horses out of the Chad Brown barn. And if you look at the spacing of the races this horse has had and when they started her campaign, looks like they've been pointing to this race all along. And I think she can get the job done for it. And then we threw in number 2 into this race as a long shot as well to hit the ticket, and that is number 2, Harvest Moon. Get you a little value. Obviously, anybody in this race that is not named Monami Girl or Swiss Skydiver is going to be a big price because they're going to take all the money, Joe.
Talk to me, Sig. It sounds like I'm hearing cash, like cash register. I'm just hearing Marco's talking, and we're hearing numbers, but it starts with number 10, Monami Girl. Do you agree it's all about it's really all about him at the top, and then we'll see what happens after that. Can she do it? And do you see money coming in this race as well?
I have to agree with Marco Joe. This does look like a two-horse race coming down between Monomoy Girl and what's most likely her swan song, as she's already scheduled to go to the auction next week. And I would think the next buyer is going to basically make her a broodmare. It would make a lot more sense than send her out for a 6-year-old season. She did miss that 2019 season with about a colic, came back really strong this year, and she just wins races. Swiss Skydiver has looked fantastic, but this will be her 10th race for 2020. And she's raced the boys, she's raced the girls, she's basically danced all the dances, but does she have enough left in the tank? I'm not sure. It's going to be a great battle. I agree with Marco. We bet differently, but we see the handicap pretty much the same. We've noticed since we started the Pony Pundits back in the spring, is we end up on the same horses most of the time. Like Dunbar Road seems to be coming back in his in our 4-year-old season. Race good as a 3-year-old, and then my longer shot in here as well it's the 9 Always Candy. Is running 5 grade 1s so far this year and finished 2nd or 3rd in all of them. So though she hasn't won, she's right there at the wire. And both those two, Dunbar Road and Always Candy, are long shot bets if Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl end up basically running each other out.
Love it, guys. Love that word. That's just music to people's ear. Long shot. Like, give us the long shot there. It's all right to get a little chalk here and there, but certainly some combinations. And Marco, you had mentioned it to the start. There's going to be a lot of money, a lot of handle coming in this weekend, and all of these races. There is an opportunity, just to put it in perspective, there's an opportunity for even, you don't have to be $1,000 better, right? You ain't going to be dropping dimes on exactas and triples and superfectas, pick 3, pick 4. There is a lot of money that can be made over just these races alone from 10 through 12 on Saturday. It's about betting it smart, because what I'm hearing from you two is the only difference between is the order and maybe a long shot here or there, but you've got it grouped, and it comes down to a little bit of luck, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, Joe, and one thing that I always tell people when we talk about the Triple Crown races, especially the Kentucky Derby, and you have the same factor here with the Breeders' Cup, is you get more people betting that are not regular horse players. Yep. And unlike sports betting, Joe, which, we all do, when you're betting sports, you're betting against the house. Okay, you're betting against the sports book. You're wagering that minus 110 to 100, and it doesn't matter what the other people are betting. It changes the odds on the board. Instead of laying 3, you might lay 3.5, but it doesn't change your payday. Where in horse racing, you're not betting against the house. The racetrack doesn't care who wins. They don't care if it's a 1-9 shot or a 99-1 shot, because it's sliced and diced up in the pool. The house makes the same amount of money. They get a set percentage out of the betting pool, but what is left out of that betting pool is for the winning tickets to divide. So if I got people that aren't too smart, I'm trying to put it, let's say inexperienced instead of not too smart. I don't want to offend anybody, right. But we're slicing up a pie that's bigger than normal, right. And I can eat more. So, and I've got a little more knowledge, I'm going to grab a bigger piece of that pie.
Damn straight. Trust us on that. He's going to, which again, guys, just want to remind you, 2 great pieces of not only content, information, but winners included in both at WagerTalk.com. Just go right now. Go get the Breeders' Cup betting guide from Sig on his page at WagerTalk. Marco's got a combo. He's got not only the Breeders' Cup, but he's got his pigskin college football Saturday, going to be huge. Nobody has been better in college football than Marco right about now. Go over there, guys, for $39 each. You can make it a very profitable weekend betting some pigskin and ponies by both of these guys. And we'll take a look at the Breeders' Cup Turf, the 11th race on Saturday. And Sig, I will start with you. First, let me ask you this. People always say, what's the difference between turf and dirt, and is there a different handicap from your perspective when looking at a turf and a dirt race, and what is it for those that might not know?
Oh, just to break it down, most tracks in America have both surfaces, usually a dirt track, which is considered your main track, and then a turf surface. Some tracks actually have multiple turf surfaces. A track like Saratoga has an inside and an outside turf. It's a different racing style, and all the race, most, not all the racing, but the majority of the racing that you see in Europe is done on the turf, and a lot of it's done differently than what you're going to see here in America. A lot of the shorter sprint races in Europe are done on straightaway races. There's no turns. They start, sometimes they go up or come up or down a hill. But when they do run at most of these tracks, if they are making a turn, they're making a right-hand turn, whereas all of the racing in North America is done with left-hand turns. The dirt surface, horses are bred for different surfaces. You'll see a lot of European horses that are bred because of their success on the turf, and they'll breed the mare with the sire because they both were successful turf horses. You've seen some American horses that have been very successful on the turf that breed with the European horses. One example is Kitten's Joy. This American-based horse that had a fantastic career and has produced a ton of turf winners. So the other thing about turf racing is that you see a lot more closers on the turf races. They go slower on the early fractions, and the race really begins in the stretch. A lot of horses can really explode off that turf surface and get a big closing kick. That's where you see a lot of the balloon payments, large payouts, and big upsets.
I'm looking at this this race right now. 10 horses in this race. This is loaded. I mean, I'm looking at Channel Maker here with with Bill Mott there. There's a lot of horses that can win this race here, Sig. I mean, let's when you're looking at it here, there's some with layoffs. There's some prices in here too, because would you see European horses? Would you agree that this is a race that's pretty much up for grabs?
I have to agree completely with you, Joe. In my handicapping process, what I try to do is eliminate horses I don't feel can win the race. I play a lot of multi-race wagers, rolling daily doubles, rolling pick threes, pick fours, pick fives. When you're right there, that's where you find the big payoffs. And if you look back historically on Breeders' Cup weekend, the biggest payouts that you're going to see are going to come into pick fours and pick fives. And a lot of times those might have the chalk in there, but it's finding that there's one or two horses that aren't the chalk that aren't included in all the tickets, because as Marco said, all that money goes into those wagering pools. And when it comes down to it, if you're able to find those long shot winners in those multi-race wagers, you can get the huge payouts.
Marco, I got to ask you here in this race here for the Breeders' Cup Turf. I mentioned Channel Maker. Anybody more successful than Bill Mott on the turf here? He is Mr. Turf. Certainly a horse I would have to look at in this race. Of the 10 horses, how's it breaking down for you?
Yeah, I have him on my ticket, but I don't have him on top. The horse I'm going for a price here, and I'll go out on a limb. I think this is going to be the race that's going to produce a long shot hitting the board, as we see with the turf race so often. And I'm going to go to number 3, Tawana. This is the Ireland Invader, and it's a filly taking on the boys here. One thing that we want to point out, when these horses come over from Europe, most of them are going to be adding Lasix. They don't race on Lasix over there. And here in the United States, we do race on Lasix. Lasix is not a performance-enhancing drug, but what it does do is enable a horse to race at his peak condition. Almost every horse bleeds at some point in their career when they race. They bleed into their lungs, and what happens is it hurts their air capacity later in a race. And sometimes they get tired. They're not carrying as much oxygen through their body, through their bloodstream. Lasix is a drug that helps a horse. It's a therapeutic drug, and it helps the damage that bleeding into their lungs causes. They don't use it over there. I don't understand that. I am a big proponent of Lasix. I'm not a proponent of performance-enhancing drugs. That's for a whole nother video. But this should help these European horses that decide to add it. And Tawana is one of them. Now, the favorite in this race is number 2, Magical. Morning line favorite of 5-2. This is the logical horse in here. Top money maker in the race. Banked over $5 million in career earnings. and is 5 for 5 in the money this year. Will be the favorite. You got to use this horse on your ticket, but I'm looking for the upset with the number 3 horse. And then, as you said, number 9, Channel Maker, 5-1. I do like Bill Mott with turf horses. There are several trainers that do well with turf races. Chad Brown's another person that does well. Christopher Clement is a trainer that's always done well. Michael Maker is a guy that really puts horses into orbit with his turf training. But I'm going 3, 2, 9. And then at the back end of the ticket, I put number 7, United. This is a horse that's raced here in the U.S. all year. And it's just an honest horse, is always there, at the end of the race. And I couldn't leave that one off the ticket. So for me, in the Breeders' Cup Turf, I'm going 3, 2, 9, 7. And I like to cash that win ticket on that 6-1 shot. 6-1 brings back $14 for every 2, Joe. That'll buy a lot of buffets, my friend.
Did you hear? You hear where he's going with it? Like, just feed. This is Marco, man. He's doing his Ezekiel Elliott. Like, feed me, 7. Come on, 7. Feed me here. I love it. Sig, talk to me. Tarnawa, been off for a little while. I don't know. How do you see this? How do you see this working out? And is that a horse that we should be looking at? Marco says 6-1. It's a nice price.
It is a nice price. And in turf racing, we see a lot of those big results. Like I said, I did land on the favorite here, 5-2 Magical on top. This 5-year-old mare is arguably the best turf horse in the world right now. But like we said, this is a very tough field. Many horses in here could win. I did use Marco's Tarnawa in my second spot, the 3. She's a 4-year-old filly, has not lost in 2020 after coming back from a 9-month layoff, and has 3 wins going into this, coming in this year. My third choice in here, I went with a 3-year-old. We talked about how the 3-year-olds are racing in the Breeders' Cup Classic against the older horses. This is basically the Breeders' Cup Classic for the turf horses. I used the 10 Mogul from the same trainer as my top choice Magical, Aidan O'Brien, very successful in the European circuit, has won a lot of Breeders' Cup races with horses he brings over here. But the 3-year-old colt's really been improving, and I think he has a big shot in here. My fourth choice, I went back and forth. Marco was laughing at me as I was handicapping this race yesterday. And I ended up on an American horse to the 1, Arklow. I really feel that the European horses have an advantage in here, but Arklow's been running really well since Florent Giroux got aboard him. And like I said, Brad Cox, the trainer, has been really hot on the circuit this past fall. So I look for them to hopefully make a showing here.
Going to be a fun race. It's a great race. A lot of opportunity there. Could be a big money race too, guys. If you head over to WagerTalk.com, make sure you grab Sig's betting guide right now for the Breeders' Cup 2020, available on his page. And, of course, Marco's Pigskin and Ponies available for you right now, guys. If you head over to WagerTalk.com, it leaves us with one final race. And good Lord, guys, what a race this is. I mean, look at just the names on this race here and everybody, whether you're a horse player or not, you've heard Tis the Law, Tacitus. I mean, you go down Improbable, Maximum Security. Marco and I were together for the Florida Derby a year ago and watched Luis Saez just put everybody to sleep. It's an amazing race, great opportunity. And I'll start with you, Marco. Opportunity for some money in this race. Is this another one of those races where it is a wide open, or have you got it narrowed down to a couple you like the most?
Well, I like this race. This will be the race I'll be betting the heaviest in. And even though we're going to land with the favorite, the morning line favorite, this is a race, Joe, that I think you're going to look at the tote board at post time, and you're going to have 4 horses basically getting the money. It's going to be a spread out field. And those are the kind of races you want to see. Nobody loves to see the 1-9s, 2-5, 3-5. You're going to see in this race probably from the 5-2 range up to 4-1 with 4 different horses. It's going to be spread around. That makes for good wagering and good returns, even on the place wagering. If you like a horse and you go win in place and you're wrong, but your horse runs second, you can cover up that win bet in this one with a decent place price. I landed on Improbable, and this is a horse Sig knows I've been riding for quite some time. I had a lot of fun with him on one of the videos we did earlier this year. Whenever I picked Improbable to win, we talked about his last race that and I joked with Sig. I said, "Did you watch the replay of that last race?" And it was a race in which he was 4 wide the entire race. It was a muddy track. They had him out 4 wide the entire race. And then when he finally cleared and he was in the stretch, the jockey decided to move the horse to the rail, where when you're on a muddy track, the rail's the last place you want to be. That's what's gotten tore up the most. That's where the water runs to the inside. And he got caught at the wire by Tom's d'Etat. And it was a situation, well, okay, Tom's d'Etat ran him down. He's the better horse. No, Improbable just had a horrible race jockey-wise in that one. And I was all over Improbable in his next race, and he won, and he hasn't lost since then. And I'm not jumping off of him now. I think he's the best horse form-wise in this race. I will put Tom's d'Etat, number 4, in there second, 6-1. I don't see this horse going off for 6-1 at all, because I'll tell you why. He's going to be the wise guy horse. Everybody is going to go back and say, okay, Improbable beat him last time. But if you go back and look at the film, he stumbled out of the gate and lost any shot he had in that race by spotting the field, the number of lengths he did. All of that is true, but Improbable is just improving with each and every race. His speed figures have gotten better in each race, and his top speed figure is the best of anybody in this field, and I feel he hasn't peaked yet. So I'm not jumping off of him, but I'll put Tom's d'Etat second. The horse I'm going to put third is almost the forgotten horse. A month ago, or I should say 2 months ago, heading into the Kentucky Derby, everybody was talking Tiz the Law. He was going for the Triple Crown. He was undefeated this season. He did everything asked of him, and he got beat in the Derby. He got beat. He finished second. He finished second to Authentic. Authentic, I feel, Joe, kind of like you talked about, we were at the Florida Derby last year with Maximum Security, and he stole the race. Well, if you remember, when they were at the half-mile marker in that race, I said, if you have a ticket that has a closer on it, tear it up now because it's no good. And unfortunately, that's what I had. I was betting a closer in that race because he was left alone on the front end with no challengers. Well, and he got to control the fractions. That's what Authentic did in the Derby. And Tiz the Law just couldn't run him down, but race game finishing second. I think Tiz the Law is going to run a big race here. They elected to skip the Preakness, which was the correct move because this horse has been on the Derby trail from day one. And when I say day one, that means before the pandemic, before the shutdown. A lot of the horses like Authentic got a late start. If the Derby would have been run in the normal time, Authentic wouldn't have been there. There's a lot of horses that, had minor injuries or setbacks that would not have been ready for the Derby when it was. So they got later starts and they're fresh. Well, Tiz the Law had a long campaign. He needed this 2 months off. I think he's going to be solid here. I love these 3 horses. I will tell you, use a box because any one of these 3 could win the race, but I like Improbable to emerge as the victor. And a horse that I'm going to put fourth on the ticket, I think you got to use. This horse is just a honest horse by my standards. He's always been, maybe the bridesmaid to these top horses. But you know what? You've got 12 career starts. 6 of them are wins. 4 of them are seconds, and you got a third. You were only off the trifecta ticket once in your career. I'm not throwing you out in this race. I'll put that horse there on the 4th spot, and that's how I see the Breeders' Cup Classic.
It's funny, Sig, I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at 10 horses, and There's a name that keeps popping up here that we didn't talk about for the other races we just covered, but look at that. 3 in a row, 8, 9, and 10. Bob Baffert, Bob Baffert, Bob Baffert. Now, there are some who drink the Kool-Aid and think conspiracy-wise that, yeah, the thing like Baffert's going to, like whatever's going to happen, Baffert's going to win this race. Just it's going to happen because that's what Bob Baffert does, right? It always seems to work in his favor. Authentic, Marco brought him up, is interesting. If he is one of these speed horses in this race that goes uncontested, he's somebody you got to consider, does he not? We watch him do it in the Derby, and if nobody goes out and get him, if he's going uncontested, this could be another one of those situations for Bob Baffert where we're all going, you got to be kidding me.
He very well could, Joe. Actually, I think another Baffert horse in here is going to try to strengthen the lead, and Authentic, I think, will be right with him. That is Maximum Security, that we talked about just a little bit earlier. Maximum Security wants that lead, races on that lead well. And what my fear is that they spot him too many spots, he may just run away with this race here. He is not my top choice. He did end up as my fourth choice in here. The horse I landed on, though, was the one Marco was knocking a little bit, is the Ford, Tom's d'Etat. This is going to be Tom's d'Etat's last race. He's a 7-year-old. He just keeps winning races for trainer Tom Amos. The layoffs never seem to bother him. He comes back and wins races. He makes a big close. And like I said, I think Maximum Security, I think Authentic, I think they're going out there. They're going to set a fast early fractions. I think it's going to set this race up for horses coming late. My second choice in here is Tiz the Law. He's ran all the races this year. Yes, he was the Kentucky Derby favorite, but he wasn't pointed to the first weekend of September. He had been pointed to the first weekend of May. He came on and won the Belmont Stakes, came back, won the Travers. He was due for a little bit of a letdown, and the jockey even said that he did not take well to the Churchill Downs track. So I'm looking for him to rebound here with the 2-month playoff. He's been working really well. TVG, the network's been showing breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, and he's been working really well in the mornings, taking well to the track. My third choice in here is Improbable. He's had a great season this year as a 4-year-old, and I think that he definitely can be a factor in here. And like I said earlier, Maximum Security is my fourth choice in here. If he gets an uncontested lead and they let him get too far ahead, I think Baffert's starting to figure him out, and he's starting to grow more accustomed to being in the Baffert barn now. It was a barn switch that occurred back in the spring due to some FBI indictments of his former trainer. I think Maximum Security can rebound here. He's basically only, I'm saying rebound, but he only finished second by a length in his last race. So I think he has a good shot here to possibly hit the board. There's a lot of horses in this field that have a shot to hit the board. This is one of the toughest classics in the last few years, I think.
It's interesting. I'll ask both of you this. Marco, I know a lot of guys that got a lot of money riding on Tacitus. And 3 wins, 12 starts, 9 in the triple is where he has finished here. There's a lot of guys thinking Tacitus, and he's a big number. I think he's 20-1. This is the right distance, the right running style. What do you think of Tacitus in this race?
Well, Tacitus is a horse that likes to be near the lead. And if they go a quick pace, which I think we're going to get an honest pace in here because you got the Baffert horses that want the front end. Now, obviously, they don't want to run each other out of the race, but sometimes horses have minds of their own. And when they want to do what they want to do, and there's another horse to their outside, and you're trying to slow them down and rate them, they don't always cooperate. So I think you're going to get the honest fractions. I think Tacitus will be sitting right behind them. And right behind Tacitus, I think will be sitting Improbable. I think Improbable will be the horse that will make the first move at the top of the stretch and have the jump on Tom's d'Etat. And I know Tom's d'Etat will be coming late. He always does. And he's such an honest horse, and he gives his all every race. But I just think Improbable is going to have a little bit of a jump on him and be able to hold him off in the stretch. But Tacitus, if they go slow fractions and he's sitting up there with those leaders, yeah, he's going to be a horse that's going to be tough and could hit the ticket and, hit the ticket at a big price because everybody's looking at other horses in this race.
And I'll get your thoughts on Tacitus here. Certainly has the record of finishing somewhere in the money, but Tom's d'Etat, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the only one of the contenders that actually won at this track. Am I correct on that?
Actually, Joe, off the top of my head, I don't have that information in front of me, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
They only raced at Keeneland in basically 3-4 weeks in the spring
Right.
and 3-4 weeks in the fall every year. So it doesn't get a whole lot of use. If you're going to run there, you might get 2 shots a year.
Right.
No, this is his first start at Keeneland. He hasn't raced at Keeneland yet.
He has not raced at Keeneland yet. Okay.
He has not raced at Keeneland yet.
What is then? Talk to me about Tacitus. Marco doesn't think thinks the speed is going to be a factor. He's not going to be there, but a lot of people are expecting him in the money. What do you think?
Actually, Tacitus, when these pre-entries came out last week, was in my top 4 selections here for this race. I think he had a big chance to close. Like I said, I feel the pace in here is going to be pretty fast early with the Baffert horses on the outside looking to dive in and get to the lead and control the race, basically. If they do go fast on that front end, Tacitus does like to race up in the lead, but he has shown the ability to come late, too, as well. He's powerful. He's a big stretch run at 20-1, or I think you may even get better on Saturday. I think Tacitus is a big long shot that has the shot to win this race. Definitely use him underneath. He will be coming.
Going to be a fun day, guys. Going to be a really fun day. A lot of money to be had, but it starts, guys, by first and foremost making sure you get these 2 guys in your corner. You can do so by heading over to WagerTalk.com. Marco's got his pigskin and ponies packaged together, $39. Get his college plays, get all the horses that he loves in the order and the combination. Then, of course, head to the buffet. Marco will meet you there. And, of course, you got Sig, who's got, as you guys can read there in the scroll, he's got his betting guide, the 2020 Breeders' Cup betting guide, up and available right now, also $39. There is money sitting waiting for you at WagerTalk.com, guys, in the way of the Breeders' Cup for 2020. It's going to be one hell of a race weekend. So, Sig, any final advice for folks that might be diving in for the first time this weekend when it comes to betting the Breeders' Cup?
Don't go hog wild. You have 14 races over 2 days. Preserve bankroll. Look for what you feel you're comfortable betting. Bet that. You don't have to bet big to win big. You can bet two. I've seen $2 bets come back. I think Marco and I watched a race earlier this week where a $2 trifecta came back at over $1,600. If you have the horses right, you can basically make a lot of money for a small investment. Look to bet rolling doubles, rolling pick 3s. They won't cost you that much, and the returns will be huge on Breeders' Cup weekend with all the money in the pari-mutuel pools.
Marco, come on, final bit of advice there as we head out into the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, that was my buddy Sig giving me a little jab in the punch in the gut there, because that race that he was talking about was Sin City Laurie's race. 2 long shots ran first and second, which I had in my exactus cold with Sin City Laurie, who ran third, and I didn't box those horses in the trifecta. That's why he threw the little jab at me there. Thanks. Remind me of that. Thanks, Sig. You're a good buddy. I was about to give Sig another little plug. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but, he has worked so hard on that guide. Joe, I want to tell you, we've talked about the guide at length, but I want to tell, there's over 150 horses racing in these 14 races. This man has a write-up on every single horse in there. So, anybody can just throw up numbers. Hey, this is what I like, Who do you like? You got a horse for you, No, this guy went in depth, and it's the best $39.95 you can get. And then I'm going to take him down to the strip and have him pay. There's a guy on the strip, Joe, that you actually can, excuse me, but it's true. You can look it up on YouTube. You can Google it. For $20, you can kick this guy. He's one of these street vendor guys. You can kick him in the nuts.
Nice.
Okay? Well, nice. Yeah. And, when I have a bad day, I go look for this guy. I want to line up a field goal attempt for $20. Well, I'm going to make Sig buy it after reminding me of missing that trifecta on Tuesday this week. Thanks, buddy.
And by
My
the
pleasure.
way, guys, you can find the nut guy. Go to TonyFinn.com. He's wonderful. He'll love you, and thank you for it. On behalf of Sig, Marco D'Angelo, I'm Joe Ranieri. Guys, best of luck to you, the Pony Pundits here. It's going to be a very profitable weekend, but it starts, of course, by getting over to WagerTalk.com. Gentlemen, best of luck with your plays, man. I hope to do this again with you soon. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.